Okay, so I would like to now welcome you to our 2025 webinar series, A Wildflower Path, Navigating Through Life's Seasons. This is our third session out of 6, and today's session is titled A Blossoming Flower, Healing Through Creative Expression. I'm Tori Weinkoop, the Training and Technical Assistance Manager of the National Center on Domestic Violence, Trauma, and Mental Health. And I am also from the Spokane tribe, which is located on the eastern side of Washington State. It is also my pleasure to be joined by Amy Torchia, who is the Healing Together Project Director from the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. We are also going to be joined by Amanda Lyons, who is one of our training and technical assistance specialists here at the center as well. I also wanted to share that our center is headquartered in Chicago of the unceded homelands of the Council of Three Fires, which include the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations. We invite each person to learn about the land you are connected to, and one resource to get started is the website native-land.ca. To officially begin today's session, I want everyone to find a comfortable spot for yourself as we do our group practice to get settled in for the hour that we are together. So we will be doing this box breathing exercise to help regulate our nervous system and to really feel grounded in this moment. For those of you who may be unfamiliar or possibly familiar with this box breathing exercise, we will be doing a series of inhaling a breath through the nose for 4 seconds and exhaling a breath through the mouth for 4 seconds. So what this can look like is like this. You inhale, exhale. So please join me in doing this for 4 rounds. So breathe in through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one last time with me. Breathe in through your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. So thank you all for doing that with me. I'm really excited to share with you the creative expression section of our upcoming toolkit. In that section, we highlight mindfulness drawing, the Zentangle method, and poetry. We wanted to make sure that we included different types of creative expression that can be used with words and/or imagery and even body movements. For today's discussion, we wanted to highlight my own creative process in designing the cover page for this toolkit, which is the flower that you see here on the right-hand side. So in the beginning, designing this piece, I felt really unsure of how I could contribute to the conversation of mind, body, spirit practices where there was already extensive conversation being had and materials that were already produced. And it was through my own self-reflection that I actually understood MBS practices from the perspective of Indigenous values and practices. And so I wanted to explore how this can be visualized on the cover page of our toolkit. And so my inspiration I draw from Spokane tribal teachings. The three that I focus on are starting from the center, following the circular path in life, and understanding that nothing is perfect. And with these three teachings, I pair it with the wild roses that grow on my reservation, because we're often told stories that these wild roses help protect against bad spirits or energy. And in this line of work and my experience as an advocate, I always thought of the wild rose as a symbol of those of protection for those impacted by gender-based violence. And so through these team group discussions, we felt that a flower best represented the process of healing and the relationship we have within ourselves, in that we always return back to our center, regardless of how that looks for each of us. And by identifying our centers, finding ways to ground ourselves. I also do want to share that the design of the flower itself is also inspired by Ojibwe flower styles. And this is to just pay respects and homage, since our organization is headquartered on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires. And within this flower, we do have a center portion of it that represents the medicine wheel, that usually is divided into four quadrants that represents the physical, emotional, spiritual, and social community aspects. And so I wanted to use that pan-tribal idea and combine it with Spokane tribal teachings to best fit the conversation. And so the flower is the metaphor for how we interact and engage with this toolkit. So the first lesson, starting from the center, as an 11 and 12-year-old attending our tribe's week-long women's gathering down by the river, I remember during one of our beading sessions, one of the elders shared, like, growing up, I was always told that we needed to start from the middle of our beadwork and work our way out. And this is so we can watch our creations grow while staying grounded and balanced at the same time within ourselves. And so the image that you see here is a sketch, or like one of the beginnings of how we wanted to visualize this piece on the cover page. And the piece is finished. I will share it later. But the petals themselves are red and blue. And these colors were intentionally chosen to evoke emotions of empowerment, strength, calmness, peace, and connection. And if you look closely at the image, the petals are interconnected together and show arrows that are moving up and down between each other. And this is to see how we are moving up and down between our center and grounding ourselves, and to really represent the ebb and flow of practice and how we may connect within ourselves and with others. There are 11 petals to represent the number of practice sections in the toolkit. And again, the center represents the medicine wheel that usually has four quadrants. And so since the petals represent each practice section, I want us to think of the arrows as a guide to how we want to connect with our centers. We can remove some petals or add more. This is to just help us visualize how we want to navigate our healing journeys. And some questions we can ask ourselves are, What kind of practices will help me feel grounded today? And which practices do I have time for? And so the second lesson following the circular path is that I grew up hearing a lot of stories about following our own circular path in life, something that the creator or God gave each of us. And it's really up to us to determine how we want to follow our own path and recognize when our own needs and wants are evolving. So, in this image here, again, an early representation of how we wanted to create this piece, you see that a petal is not directly touching the center, but is still hovering it. And we can think of this like an orbit where the petal can overlap other orbiting petals, spiraling forever, unfolding our healing journeys. And the orbiting petals help us visualize that even if we feel lost in our healing journeys, our centers will always be our guiding points to reground and balance ourselves, our communities, and our families. So I want us to understand that having a circular path doesn't mean that we begin and end in the same place. Rather, it means we take care of ourselves based on the four values and quadrants of the medicine wheel, which again are emotional, spiritual, physical, and social. For example, the way we care for our emotional well being as a child will look different from how we care for ourselves as adults. If you engage with this toolkit at the age of 25, what you choose to do might look different when you're 50 or 75 years old. We evolve, and it's important for us to reflect on what we need for healing in different periods of our lives. The last lesson that I wanted to look at is looking at nothing is perfect, which can also be referred to as imperfections reflect uniqueness. And so I want to go back to that story where I talked about being at our women's gathering. Um, and in that, I was making my first medicine bag. And I remember making a mistake when edging the medicine bag with beads. And the elder woman who was with me told me that by making mistakes within our pieces, and I use mistakes as air quotes, that it shows that we're human and that part of my energy and soul was now infused within this work. And it was up to me to carefully consider whether I wanted to start over or if I wanted to keep the mistake. And at the age of 11, I chose to keep it because I was really over it and just did not want to start over. The image that we see here does represent my own process that I wanted us to visually engage with. And creating the center of this piece, which I remind you again is to represent the medicine wheel, was actually very difficult for me. It was challenging to decide that I needed to redo it, and I actually ended up redoing it 3 different times. But it was important to me to figure out what felt right to me, and what I thought others might resonate with when they look at this toolkit and when they engage with it. And for those of you who are curious, it did take me 4 hours each time to beat the center and then took me an hour to take it apart. So I'll spare you the math on that one. But it is to serve as a reminder that imperfections do reflect uniqueness, meaning that not every petal, or in this case, practice, needs to be used to guide us through our healing journey. It is through trusting ourselves that we identify and know which practices feel good and allow us to bloom in ways that work best. And that there is no right or wrong way to engage with the practice, as there is a practice for everybody. And so bringing it back to these practices, even if it feels like we're not doing it right, like if the drawing doesn't turn out the way we want it to, or we don't feel like we're calm enough to engage with it, or we're just noticing any sort of mistake, um, just remember that it does mean that you are leaving a part of yourself in that practice and in that work, and that it's a part of you, your group, or your community that put effort into the practice demonstration. And it also can highlight where you are within your own healing journey. And it can provide insight of how you can or want to continue moving forward. So now I want us to think about our own types of creative expression and creative process. We have images that can represent what we feel, how we experience things, and how we connect within ourselves. And so, to help us get started, I want us to practice by using words and how that can convey what we are feeling, what we are experiencing, and how we can continue to find our center. So, Amanda and I are going to do this demonstration together called What's the Word? It's a poetry exercise where we identify a word that we connect with. For that word, we will spell it out vertically so that each letter is on one line by itself. And with each letter, we will write a short phrase to represent how we can describe the word as a whole. And as we go through this, we do invite you to think about phrases or words you would use for each letter. So feel free to write your own. And let's get started. Where did it go? Did it disappear? I think it disappeared again. Okay. We will type it out together, Amanda, unless it's in a different folder. Nope. I found it. Yay. All right. So the word that Amanda and I chose is heart. And as you can see here, we write it down vertically to represent the phrases we're going to create for each letter. So Amanda, I'm going to start with you. For heart, what is the phrase or sentence that you used to describe the letter H?
So when I think about what my heart needs, what I think of is hope and healing.
Yeah, thank you. For the letter E, when I think of heart for the letter E, I think of embracing the energy of our soul. How about A?
The letter A for heart, I really think about attending to our needs, attending to my needs, which is also part of the heart of what this toolkit and the series is really about.
Yeah, and I think for the letter R, that really builds off of that because when I think of R in heart, I think of rest and reflection, which is really important when we want to identify new practices. And now you get to finish us out with the letter T.
I think I love this one for T. I came up with trusting my inner truth. And I think that is so important in our healing process to like find that and cultivate within ourselves that ability to listen and build our trust.
Yeah. Oh, Thank you so much for doing this with me. Again, we do just want to welcome you to share in the chat any phrases or words that came up for you when thinking about a word that you connect with. So thanks, Amanda. That was great. That was fun.
Thanks, Tori.
Also, before you go away, could you read some of those comments if anyone shared in the chat?
Let's see, we don't have any comments yet, but I would love to see if anybody has any thoughts or any of the letters and heart. What seems important to you. I know maybe you're still thinking. Well, we got embrace ourselves, really beautiful. I think that's great, like very physically and metaphorically. Ooh, empower. Beautiful. Together.
Oh, I like that one. That
I love that too.
really connects with community.
Empath. I'm
Yeah.
sure many people can identify with being empathic here today. We also got restoration. Beautiful. And rest is one of the most important things when it comes to the heart. Emotions can take a toll on mental health. Oh, absolutely. We all need that rest, restoration, that time for peace. Resiliency. Absolutely. Beautiful. Reflection. Yes, absolutely. Symbiotic. Ooh, beautiful. Another way to think about that connection with others.
I like that. Yeah, no, this is a really great example of with this specific practice, you can do it by yourself or you can do it in a group setting. It's really adaptable in that way. But thank you, Amanda, for supporting me in that.
And I encourage everyone to keep sharing as they come up to you, just to keep sharing the love with each other.
Yeah, and I am gonna go ahead and turn this over to Amy. We also wanted to do a highlight of stories from the field that are in our toolkits, and Amy's program is in this section of the creative expression practices to really highlight how we can practice creative expression through music. So thank you for being here with us today, Amy, and I'm excited to hear more about this.
Thank you so much, Tori. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be in this space with you. As Tori said, I work with the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. That's our Vermont State Coalition here. And for the last 4+ years, I've been honored to direct a project called Healing Together, which focuses on healing for families who've experienced interpersonal violence, specifically supporting healing and connection between parents, caregivers, survivor parents, and their children. And one part of Healing Together that we offered to families was this incredibly beautiful healing experience called the Lullaby Project, which we're going to talk about today. Next slide, please. The Lullaby Project is originally a program of Carnegie Hall, and it generally pairs new and expecting parents and caregivers with professional artists to write and sing lullabies for their babies. The main goals are to support parental and maternal health, aid child development, and strengthen the bond between parents and children. And Carnegie trains musicians all over the world to be able to lead these workshops with parents. So we're lucky in Vermont to have some trained musicians who collaborate here with a writers group to bring lullaby workshops to people in Vermont. And we're also really lucky to have a beautiful photographer who works at the network named Kelly, who has taken some of these photos that you'll see today. Next slide, please. So the reason we decided to include the Lullaby Project in our Healing Together project was because that we understood the healing power of music, and we wanted to support avenues for healing through music for survivors and their children, in addition to offering other healing opportunities like art and recreation and play. We knew that music was relevant for the families with whom we work because of a formative evaluation we did before our project started. Tori, can you go to the next slide for just a second? Thank you. And when we asked children and parents what has helped or would help support their healing, this is what we heard from them. And you can see that music was big for both of them. I'll give you just a second to read these words because I find them very beautiful. You can tell which ones are the younger folks and which ones are the parents. But it was good to know that what we thought was important actually was important to families. So you can go back to the previous slide. Thank you. No, go back. Perfect. So lullabies often include themes of unconditional love and joy. Sometimes they include themes of separation and grief. Writing and playing music helps to heal past traumas through the art of music making and singing, and the experience of being in community with others. And lullabies connect families through songs that can be sung for many years across many generations and can become a precious family heirloom. The way that Healing Together was funded was through a federal grant that focused on connection and healing for families who've experienced interpersonal violence. And what we did was, beginning in 2021, we began to work with and engage with the Vermont Lullaby Project musicians and writers, and we offered workshops for survivor parents at our DVSV organizations who were our partners in the project. We offered 2-day workshop in our women's correctional facility for moms and grandmoms there. We offered workshops for parents of gender creative kids and did a youth workshop with queer identified youth who wrote lullabies and also love songs. We also did a workshop with advocates who work in our member organizations here in Vermont and with our coalition staff as well. We usually did these in one workshop sort of session, and in the women's facility, we did 2 days of workshops for them. Always had food. We always offered a stipends for parents, and to sort of respect the time that they offered to come. Okay, thanks, Tori. You can go 2 slides now. Perfect. Again, some beautiful photographs. So what we did a little bit differently from Carnegie was who really focuses in on pregnant and parents of very young children and babies. We created spaces to write lullabies for babies and children, and we opened it up to include writing songs for other loved ones, other children in people's lives, for ourselves, sometimes the children inside of us, for parents, siblings, nibblings, our pets. We wrote songs for all kinds of beings whom we loved. We invited advocates to write songs right alongside the survivors that we were working with. We did that on purpose to break down some of the walls and barriers that we've traditionally sort of put between us. And now in Vermont, there's a new project that will be doing lullaby workshops with visiting non-custodial parents at supervised visitation centers. And our Department of Corrections loved the Lullaby Project so much that they are now funding it for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated moms. Next slide, please. So here's what a lullaby workshop looks like. And really, with a group of 5 or 6 people participating, you can emerge with 5 or 6 songs in about 4 hours. It's very magical. So first, in a circle, we introduce ourselves and share our experiences of lullabies, what they have meant to us in our lives. Some people share that they didn't have lullabies, but wish they did. And some people sing a lullaby that they wrote or that was sung to them or that they sing. Then we list the elements of lullabies. Often on the list is simple, rhythmic, playful, lots of imagery. And after that, the writers, the facilitators who are writers, start to engage participants with 7-minute writing prompts, where they give them a prompt and they're given 7 minutes with a timer to write. Some of the prompts are, you come from. One is, when I think of you. And then participants are able to share their writing if they want to with the other people in the room. Eventually, we do several of those, and eventually they're asked to sort of underline some words, like pick one of the writings, start to underline some words, think about if something sounds musical to them, if they like a phrase, that sort of thing. After that, they spend some time one-on-one with a musician who plays an instrument of some kind. And it's really the songwriter who leads. The musicians may ask, how does this sound to you? What tune comes to mind? Can you sing it for me? And then they'll work together. And it's really magic what comes out of those spaces. They end up with a rough recording of their song. They end up with their lyrics. And at the end of those workshops, there's a group share. Sometimes kids have been in another space and they come in, sit on people's laps, and folks share the lullabies that they've written. They're pretty rocky, still rough, but there's a lot of love in those spaces and a lot of tears because it's just stunningly beautiful. There's also, just to note, a lot of choice and opting in. So people don't have to share their songs. They can stop at any time. They can ask for a lot of help. And they can choose to have their songs performed at a yearly annual, community concert that we've been able to have. They can get up and perform their songs if they want to. The picture that you're looking at is Lizzie performing with her daughters and one of our musicians, David. Next slide, please. So I wanted to give you a chance to be in a workshop for just a second and see if you might pull out a piece of scrap paper and a pen or a pencil if you want to. I'm going to do a little writing prompt with you, and I'll time you for 2 minutes, not 7 minutes. So think of someone who is special to you, someone who you might write a lullaby for or a love song to. Maybe it's your child, another child in your life, yourself as a child, another family member or friend, or your dog, or your cat, or your llama. No worries about grammar. You're not going to share this with anybody. Just do some free writing. And I did this at a conference and heard later that people love their writing so much, some of them were still carrying them around in their wallet. So I'm going to set the timer right now and give you the space to do some writing. And I will call you back in maybe a little less than 2 minutes. Go. You are a part of me is your prompt. You have about 10 more seconds, so start to finish your thought. Think about putting a period or an exclamation point. So feel free now to share in the chat if you want to, a word maybe that came up for you, a phrase, a couple words, maybe the person that you're writing your prompt to, someone who you might write a song for. Feel free to just put anything, share any bit that you might want to in the chat. And from here, you may want to keep this with you in your pocket, in your wallet. You could underline some words if you feel like you heard a song emerging. You might think of a title, you might think of just a phrase that you would repeat if you wanted to. Don't see anything in the chat yet. Feel free to think about like how you might want to share a word or two if you want to.
I just wanted to share that I really love this project overall because it's a great way to like create family heirlooms that can be passed down through generations, and I think that's really cool. That's what I really enjoy about this project. Like I just wrote one about my mom. I wrote it on really, really dark blue construction paper, so I'll have to rewrite it so I can see it. But I don't know, just in those 2 minutes, thinking about my own connection with her, I think is really special and something that I would like to reflect more on later on too.
Thank you, Tori. Well, you certainly can. And now you have your paper, and I'm happy to help you turn it into a song, actually, if you need it. All right, thank you. Thanks everybody for all the beautiful words you're putting in the chat. We can go to the next slide. Yeah, so here's some quotes. I'm actually just going to read a couple of them to you. You'll also get them in your slides. You can reflect on them, but these are just how folks were impacted. This was the single best experience I had in here, made even better because I got to share something with my children that they will have forever and can be proud of their mom for, and that was a participant from inside the women's facility. Yeah, if you have a second to just let your eyes land on a little bit of one of those, I can tell you that the impact has been profound, and we really wanted to share one of the songs with you. So that's what we're going to do next on the next slide. And this is a video clip of our final concert, which was last September. And this song was written by Emily for her daughter. You will get to hear all the elements of a lullaby in this song, and lots of joy and love. And so Tori's going to share it. Yeah, and thank you all very much. I can't wait for your questions. I think Tori's just getting the video audio set up. As Tori's doing that, I think.
I am.
Okay, that's good. As you're doing that, that's fine. I'll let you know that I come from a family with a long line of lullabies. Have one that was written by my grandmother and sung to her children, and then sung to my generation, and several of us have added verses to it. And now we've got a really beautiful song that spanned at least 4 generations, 5 generations. How about that? Okay. So here we go.
You are fire, you are magic. Your life runs so bright and warm. So trust yourself when things get dark. Remember that you have my heart, never apart. Because you have my heart. we're never apart, because you have my heart. When your body's full of wiggles and your mind goes racing, let's turn up the music and dance those troubles away. We'll dance those troubles away. Never far apart, because you have my heart. We're never apart, because you have my heart. When life gets hard, I'll be there to hold you tight. When the winds bring change, come on, let's make a kite. We'll fly those worries away. Never apart, because you have my heart. We're never apart, because you have my heart. You can do anything, my sweet love, my fire child, my heart.
Thank you. That's it for me. I think we're on to questions, Tori.
Yes, I am pulling the slides back up.
Okay.
So this is Amy's contact information. I will put my contact information in the chat as well. We are now open for Q&A for the next 10 minutes. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I do want to share that the toolkit is actually not available right now. It is still under copy editing and won't be released until the end of this year sometime. But it's very close. But don't be shy if you have any questions.
And I'm noticing, I'm just reading back through some of the beautiful words that you wrote, and I'm just loving them, and I'm hearing songs, just reading them.
So here is my email. Amy, do you want to put your email in the chat as well?
Sure. I can keep talking about the Lullaby Project. I can just keep talking and talking. Yeah, I can say that this idea of advocates and families writing together was really profound for us. It's such a great, I mean, advocates and folks who do this work are, and as we know from this toolkit, need to think about our own well-being, and the idea of being able to just be in space together and acknowledge everyone's humanity in this really expressive way. Super life-giving, I want to say. The other thing about singing together is that when you sing with people, your hearts sync. And that is just biologically true. So if you're able to sing with other humans for a while and your children, you start to regulate. There's a question about the funding moving forward. Is that about the toolkit for the Lullaby project? Can you be more specific about that? Lullaby project? Yes. So yeah, the project that we were able to fund, we contracted with the musicians and the writers, and we paid them with a FIPSA grant that specialized services for parents and their children. I think that's what the title of the project, the grant, is called. FIPSA is Family Violence Services and Prevention Act funds, a really specific grant focusing on children and parents and their connection and healing. There is a new cohort of projects that are happening now, and there will be more, I hope, down the road. But I would encourage you to just think about ways to write. First of all, see if you can find some trained lullaby project musicians in your area, and you may have them. You can connect with the Lullaby Project Carnegie Hall link that you'll get, and see if you can find those folks and see what they charge. Maybe they're grant funded and don't charge. So I'm happy to also just offline do some support around how you can find folks and find money. I hope that answered your question. Great, Mindy. Thank you for your comments, everybody. Yeah. Noticing, I had forgotten how healing music and art can be. Any form of art is good mental health, same with songwriting. How long has this project been going on? I feel like Carnegie has been doing it for a long time now, maybe at least 20 years. It mostly Carnegie Hall works with families right in New York City, and then they started to train musicians out and out and out. In Vermont, we've been doing it for about 4 years. I'm so happy to see that. I'm glad you'll be taking your words with you, maybe make it into a lullaby, maybe sing it in the car on the way home. Yeah. Nice, thank you. And Tori, I'm just, your petal, your flower just resonates with me so greatly. I'm happy, I've gotten to see your art, and that beautiful flower. And I'm gonna just remember this sort of from the center out. That is like my new thing. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I actually just finished it this morning, so it is completely done now. It was only a 2-year project, no big deal.
Mm.
Yeah, there's also gratitude to our ASL interpreters as well, because it is true. Language in itself is an art. So very thankful we have these different modes of accessibility for everyone. So we do have about 3 minutes left if anyone else wants to ask any questions. All right, well, I am going to say that this is the end of the webinar. And that will give you about 2 minutes back of your day. So again, thank you everyone who's joined us. It's been great sharing this space with you all. And yeah, I hope you're able to utilize the resources that Amy has shared, and that if you have any additional comments or questions around mind, body, spirit practices, you're more than welcome to reach out to our team here at the National Center as well. So again, thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, team.